Excuse my voice, everyone. I know I'm sounding kind of froggish, but like I had explained in prior videos, I'm supposed to have been seeing an ear, nose, and throat specialist, being that my voice goes in and out very easily. So please bear with me. Sorry about that. I'll try to talk as clearly as I can. But anyways, my friend and I, we attend the same school. And when he told me that he was taking up anthropology, which is really evolution, I forewarned him, considering that he, like myself, is a Bible believer. I warned him of how he would be made to feel like an outcast in the classroom if he expressed any religious views that support a creator. And sure enough, as expected, he had to handle a lot of frustration. Excuse the background noise. You know, the teacher's always right, and what she teaches is not to be questioned, even though a lot of this is theory. But you can't question the teacher no matter what. And being the way that he is, very much like myself, he became the black sheep of the classroom, even amongst the so-called fellow Christians who seem to just fall for whatever the teacher says, despite the fact that they claim to believe in the Bible as well. But unlike myself, he ends up not passing the class. But, what I question is, why would we, art and design students, even be required to take up a course in anthropology? And yes, this is a required course at our school if we want to earn our degree. Even if it's in fashion. And evolutionist teachings are being pushed more and more into the schools our children attend, in the elementary schools, in the middle schools, in the high schools. Well, I never respected the course in anthropology, evolution, due to it going against my religious beliefs. But while taking the class and watching the films, etc., that they showed us on our so-called ancestors, I began to be turned off, or shall I say turned on to something else. I didn't know that our complexion becomes lighter or whiter as we evolve. It's interesting. More things grab my interest, like the hominids. Now, I'm going to read from the Young Earth Creation Headquarters from a section titled Evolution's Hall of Shame. Now, hominids are any family of erect bipedal primate mammals comprising recent humans together with extinct ancestral and related forms. In other words, they are the ape men that humans supposedly derived from. Okay? Now, these evolutionist depictions of what hominids or ape-like men were believed to have looked like back then are being displayed in museums even today. Now, take a look at them. I know some people. Never mind. Now, these following 3 pics show the ape man evolving, okay? Now, notice that the hair evolves from kinky to straight hair. Now, is there any real evidence that the early man had kinky hair? Name one monkey, chimp, or ape that has kinky hair. Now, considering that there are none, you have to ask yourself, why would the hominid's hair evolve from kinky to straight as he basically goes from monkey to man? Also, notice the nose on the early human figures. And notice how the nose is so-called or supposedly evolves. So it's obvious that evolutionists aren't so politically correct in their theory, but they don't seem to be scientifically correct neither. And this is because evolution truly is about hate, racism, white superiority, and taking away a man's humanity. Now, we're all familiar with the Bible of evolutionists, Charles Darwin's Origin of Species, published in 1859. Well, did you ever learn of the book's full title? Now, this is the book's full title, which you rarely hear in schools, if ever. They just refer to the book as Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. But this is the book's full title, okay? That's on the book's original publishing's cover. It's titled On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life. Favored races? What do they mean by that? Or who do they mean by that? Now let me read a little further from the site. After publishing Darwin's Origin of Species and Descent of Man, a big campaign was initiated to find out the fossils that would possibly be displayed as an evidence for the theory. Archaeologists started looking for the fossils of imaginary creatures called transitional forms. For decades, they dug different parts of the earth to prove their point with no success. Their disappointment eventually led them to the forgery of the Piltdown Man. In 1912, the English biologist Charles Dawson, not Darwin, I know the names sound very, very similar, ironically, but in 1912, the English biologist Charles Dawson fitted an orangutan jaw to a human skull and exhibited it as a transitional form between human and ape. Excuse me, my voice going out. It became evident only after 37 years that the Piltdown Man, which was exhibited in British Museum as the biggest evidence for evolution, was solely a forgery. More sophisticated forgery methods were being developed by evolutionists, however. Some evolutionists held strongly to the idea that there existed some living fossils. According to the belief, if mankind had ape-like ancestors, there should still, in some part of the world, be some semi-human beings who still have not completed the evolution process or the human link from ape to man. Towards the end of the 1800s, the victims were found. The native inhabitants of Tanzania, called Aborigines, were designated as living evidences of evolution. The different orbit structure and the relatively heavy lower jaw of the Aborigines of Australia were the main reason of why these human beings were defined as transitional forms. Evolutionists, archaeologists, and many fossil hunters who joined them set out to dig the graves of Aborigines and take the skulls to Western evolutionist museums. Soon the skulls were distributed to each one of the institutions, schools in the West as a confirmation of evolution. The fossil hunters did not hesitate to become skull hunters when the number of graves were not enough to meet their needs. Since Aborigines served as transitional forms, they had to be regarded as animals rather than human beings. For the sake of development of science, the lives of Aborigines could be sacrificed just as guinea pigs. Wow. Skull hunters killed Aborigines and legitimized this act, asserting that they were just doing it for science. The skulls of the hunted natives were sold to museums after some chemical reactions that would make them look old. The skulls with bullet holes were filled in with utmost attention. And from the Creation magazine published in Australia, a New South Wales missionary was a horrified witness to the slaughter by mounted police of a group of dozens of Aboriginal men, women, and children. 45 heads were then boiled down and the 10 best skulls were packed off for overseas. Wow. Since evolution was not an ordinary scientific theory or a hypothesis, but an ideology that had to be certainly proved, its defenders committed or confirmed such massacres without slightest hesitation. To verify the lie, even massacre seemed to be legitimate for them. That is because this lie was the basis of the world order set up by them and different ideologies attributed to the other. Now here we see some Aborigines turning to run as they realize they're about to be hunted. It's kind of scary when you look at that. And these pictures that you see here, these are some of the only few left of this tribe. Now a whole race, pretty much a whole race was wiped out because of a theory and mindset at that time. A time Darwin lived in, a mindset that affected his writings. And today, thousands of skulls of Aborigines are still in the warehouse of Smithsonian Institution. Some of these skulls belong to the corpses dug from the graves, whereas some are skulls of innocent people killed to prove evolution.